thank you for having me here tonight, Cherelle. I'm extremely proud of you, having known you pretty much my entire life, to see you on this stage. So it's exciting to participate in this panel. But I had to go and think about, Philadelphia as a city is very, very divided. Right? It's divided by neighborhoods, it's divided by wards, divided by divisions, and it's divided in city government. And one of the key things that we need from our mayor, future mayor, female or male, is someone who can bring everyone together. What can you point to in your career, specifically, forget the state level, but specifically in city council where, you were able to bring coalitions together? We all know that there is the mighty kind of Northwest neighborhood that, would go against the West Philadelphia coalition, all the above. But we need to get beyond that as a city, and let's speak about what you would do to kind of bring the city together.
I love that. So we'll minus Harrisburg and talk about Philadelphia's successes. Keith, if you want to get under my skin, because when we grew up in West Oak Lane, we were still required to sweep the curbs, the sidewalks, and the steps. So if you want to get under my skin, call our city Philadelphia. I got so tired of hearing people say it, but rather than be what I see so many people becoming, and that is they are expert articulators of problems, but very short on solutions. They can tell you from A to Z about what the problem is and go backwards and forwards, and you say, okay, well, while you had a seat at the table, what did you do to solve that problem? I want to use safer, cleaner. I want to use cleaner. Cherelle, commercial corridors are dirty. I sit in my 5th floor office window looking out at the clothespin. I think you all have a section in the paper called Ideas. This is what Cherelle stole from Paul Levy in the Center City District. How do we fix it? I looked out my window, saw a guy coming across. One guy just came from a cart, dropped the tissue on the ground. Another guy is pulling a trash can, broom, dustpan, and what do you call it? The picker up in the hand. Light went off. Center City's not cleaner because no one throws trash here. They're cleaner because it's someone's job to pick up the trash that people throw. How about we do this in neighborhoods? Call Paul Levy up. You'll remember to call. Paul, I got it. We need to get it done. How do I do this in Broad Knowley, 5th Street, Castor Avenue? Very honest, Cherelle, the challenge is in neighborhoods, you don't have the individual tax base in those communities in order to do it. Now, you all, for those of you who don't know me, I'm an athlete. I've ran track, Judy. I'm cheerleader. Worst thing in the world you could tell me is what I can't accomplish. So I'm immediately in my mind trying to figure out how. I partner with community development corporations in our neighborhood. I tell the mayor, like I would tell Mayor Nutter, you want my vote for the budget? This is very in a transparent manner. I need $2 million to get this pilot program up and going. I demonstrate it works in my district. I come back to city council, the text messages, the calls with the neon shirts, they say, I'm from the 70s, so it says PHL-TCB. What did the TCB mean? Taking care of business. PHL, taking care of business. It's across the city now, citywide program. Black, white, community development corporations, churches, no matter the race, socioeconomic status, every section in the neighborhood, if there was a CDC available, they were clamoring to support this program, along with the neighborhood safety and community policing plan.
Could you point to some direct work with your colleagues? So that sounds like working with some of the CDCs, but speak about some of the collaborative work you've done with some of your peers.
So many of you will know that we have an affordable housing crisis in the city of Philadelphia, but the most affordable home is the home that you live in, And it would get very frustrating representing a district that is what I would call landlocked. Other areas have lots of industrial space and lots of room to build new. But in areas that are high voting, high civically engaged, high rate of home ownership, like middle neighborhoods, the demand It's for preservation of existing. Council President Clark and I got together and we raised the realty transfer tax so that we could generate $100 million to put $60 million into addressing the backlog for something called BSRP. That's our Basic Systems Home Repair Program. Wonderful program, but here's the problem. Income eligibility. I represented the constituency that I almost feel like people have the have-nots versus those who have a little bit. My people aren't rich, but they usually made a nickel over the income eligibility guidelines, consistent payers to the tax base, but never eligible for any programs that the city offer. So I said, Council President Clark, I can't support raising this tax without having something tangible to give to that constituency. So we started Restore, Repair, Renew. It's a program. You can have a credit score as low as 580, 10 years to pay it back, 3% fixed interest rate, borrow up to $50,000, and you can fix anything you want in your house, and you can earn up to 120% of the area median income. So those consistent payers of the tax base, they would not be included. How did I work with my colleagues? There were some who thought that 100% of that revenue should only be driven to areas that were significantly low income. And that's when I had to talk with individual colleagues who were similarly situated. I can remember Councilmember Heenan. He represented the Tacony, Mayfair area. Councilwoman Bass, right next door. Stanton, Brian O'Neill. You had formed alliances with people based on issues, because every time you need to put together 9 or 12, it's not always the same 9. So the formula that I use is the alliance and the coalition is based on what the issue is. And so that is an excellent example. Or neighborhood preservation initiative and commercial quarter funding. You have to get allies to support the ask in the budget. If the president gets one list, it just gets one sheet, 17 members, and only one person has, middle neighborhoods or another issue on, that's just one issue. So you get as many of your colleagues as you possibly can to support the issue. So now there's great demand and it ends up in the budget.
Appreciate that answer. So I'll go in a slightly different direction. So, I always say Philadelphia is the original startup city, right? And as the Chief Executive Officer of the city, you are essentially going to be responsible for selling the city to multiple constituencies, to the people in the neighborhoods, to the business community, to people we want to invest and come into the city. Give us your best sales pitch of why people would want to bring businesses to Philadelphia, why people should stay in Philadelphia considering what's happening around crime and things like that. Why should people stay in Philadelphia, and why should businesses come to Philadelphia?
About after Parker administration has had a chance just to get some stuff done, right?
Yes.
Because Philadelphia is not only the birthplace of democracy, it is no longer a pass-through between Washington, D.C. and New York. It is affordable. It's a 21st century, first-class, globally connected city offering the best education, public education that can be offered in a city. In addition, we're safer, we're cleaner, and we provide access to economic opportunity for all. Jane Golding, arts and culture is jumping. Everybody wants to be here, and we've got a deputy who is there. It's their responsibility to deal with arts and culture, and there's room in Philadelphia. It's not so big that you don't feel like you're in the neighborhood, but I don't want to go get the neighborhood or understand or meet anybody in the neighborhood if I don't feel good walking to the store. So you should invest in us because we have some of the best and brightest startups. We also have access to capital, right? And we have to be innovative in our thinking about how we use some of the leverage that the city has, and I want you to think about some funds that we control as it relates to supporting small businesses, particularly people who scream they want to support small businesses, and the only thing they talk about is access to debt capital. They never talk about private equity, patient capital, or venture capital. Well, who's Shark Tanking for black and brown people in the city of Philadelphia, minus technology and training assistance? And so those are all of the reasons why. And it won't just be because the mayor said it. How about if you can look at our population and no longer are they calling us six? We're back now. Let's get out of here, Houston. We're back to our fifth spot. And we're growing. We're growing. We're getting back to where we belong because people are choosing to listen. We're being forward thinking with proposed development and growth in the city. People are engaged in their communities, and people want to choose Philadelphia because they see what's happening.
So I think one of the reasons why people don't choose Philadelphia or choose to leave is because of the education system, right? So I'd like for you to speak on what we could do to address that immediately within the first 4 years of any mayor's term.
In 2 minutes.
Oh, quickly, and we're going to try to be as short as we possibly can, but Larry, you have to understand this. I have a breadth and depth of intergovernmental experience that no one else brings to this race, and I've got to take my time in explaining it, so thank you so much for your patience. Let me just say this, Keith, workforce development. Everybody's not going to college. The Apple technician at the Genius Bar who went to college and dropped out because I'm an English teacher, I think it's blasphemy. How could he not like literature and reading and writing papers? But he did say what he liked to do was to take things apart and put them back together. How does he end up being an Apple technician, taking things apart and putting things together? Guess what Apple did? They sent him to Apple school. Now that person's an Apple technician. Why are we not training for every industry that's growing in the city of Philadelphia within our schools? Also, employment opportunities here in the city of Philadelphia. We should be training our young, I don't care if it's police, I don't care if it's fire, I don't care if it's building engineers or inspectors at L&I. Why are we not training our folks? And listen, Keith, I'm not just, because it's so frustrating hearing people talk about sending someone to a training school and you have a family to take care of, a mortgage to pay, and they want you to go to school and just train. And you say, well, how am I going to pay my bills? Making sure people are earning while they're learning. And we can do that immediately through partnership. The year-round school proposal, I can't unveil right now how we're talking about paying for that. You'll see that in more detail on my website, and we'll announce that soon. But we also have to remember this, and I'm unapologetic about this. Traditional teachers will not be the only instructors in public education. We must have the private sector engage in training and teaching our young people. It's no way we can compete in the 21st century global economy, in the industries that are thriving in our city. We don't have actively engaged in our educational system. And I don't care if we're talking about traditional publics and or charters. I support quality seats. Okay, no charters at the expense of traditional publics, which is why I want that charter school reimbursement line item restored that we lost under the Corbett administration. But we need quality seats, Keith, and we can do that immediately with the year-long school. You know, I'm always very frustrated about people looking at folks living in poverty and almost basically deciding what's best for them and not talking to them about what it is that they are interested in doing. And if you talk to people who live in neighborhoods or are living in poverty across the city, they want access to opportunity. They don't want to have to go get surplus food, similar to what I did when I had to do when I grew up. They don't want to have to do that. We need to use government as a tool to put people on the path to self-sufficiency so that they can take care of themselves. If you do it, you will be surprised at the significant reduction in violent crime and violence that you'll see in the city of Philadelphia if we do it right.